Hello and welcome to the first of Drayton's Sofa Sessions, where we'll be taking a deeper dive into government retrofit funding programmes concerning the domestic heating industry, with a particular focus on what this means for claimants such as house builders and social housing authorities. My name's Meredith, I'm part of the Drayton team, and we're joined today by three expert panellists. Oh dear. Andrew Baines, National Sales Manager at Drayton, who will be guiding us through the Energy Company Obligation, aka ECO, and the Great British Insulation Scheme, or GBIS. In addition, we have Merlin Milner, Product Owner at Drayton, who will shed light on the Product Characteristics Database, or PCD, and its recent updates. And finally, Megan Holm, Policy and Insight Consultant for the Low Carbon Business Unit at Talon, who will be walking us through the broader landscape of funding programmes, including warm home schemes and others like the boiler upgrade scheme. We'll explore in a bit more detail how these initiatives are supporting the UK's journey to net zero, the role of heating controls in improving energy efficiency, and how installers and housing providers can make the most of these opportunities. We're going to get started by hearing exactly why this subject is so relevant for the heating industry at the moment, and then we'll get stuck into the funding programmes. So Megan, can you kindly just give us a bit of background around why this is so important at the moment?
Absolutely. So funding programs specifically support a lot of the government's agenda at the moment to achieve net zero by 2050 is the primary aim. And a lot of things that feed into that are the importance of decarbonising our homes and buildings as well. They're quite a large proportion of UK's emissions. I think recent statistics are around maybe 13% of emissions come from home heating. So a really, really important area to look to decarbonise, with a range of different policies, solutions around there to help us to get to that end goal. So things around energy performance certificates, or EPCs as we all know them, making sure that everyone's reaching certain targets by certain dates. So for instance, the private rented sector need to achieve EPC-C by 2030. Just to give an example of some of the supporting policies that will help retrofit measures feed into achieving those goals. And one of those key ones are obviously heating controls, and it's great to join Drayton to talk about the importance of those today.
Fantastic, thank you. So we see a lot of acronyms flying around with these sorts of things. We've got ECO and GBIS. Andy, would you be happy to give us some background behind the Energy Company Obligation and Great British Insulation Scheme?
Yeah, I can do. So the Energy Company Obligation, in short, stands for ECO. This is a government-backed scheme which is funded by the large energy providers, where they separate a pot of money, which is then made accessible for people, particularly on low income. So these are predominantly people who are based on certain benefits. So the whole idea is to reduce their fuel bills within their properties to make it more affordable. And part of this scheme is replacing central heating controls, and in particular around what we class as time temperature zone control, which is shortened to TTZC. This is where the householders can then control time and temperature in each given room of their properties, or the habitable rooms. So this means that they're only heating rooms at specific times of the day when people are habitating these rooms. Thus meaning that they're reducing their fuel bills. The Great British Insulation Scheme is what it is. Obviously, a lot of the properties within the UK, the insulation levels aren't to the standard that is required. So this is classed as a primary measure to make our houses able to withhold the temperature and not leak heat throughout the walls. And part of this is a secondary measure within the Great British Insulation Scheme is central heating controls. Again, you know, it's great having energy efficiency housing, but if we're not controlling our central heating systems to the maximum efficiency, we need, again, it's saving money for the end user. Does that answer any of your questions, Meredith?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that background. Yeah, I'm going to move things over to talk about the Warmer Home Scheme. Megan, would you be happy to tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the key policy areas that government are currently developing and expected to be announced further details this autumn is the Warm Homes Plan. So there's currently 2 funding programs that sit within this that have been announced. They're actually really rebrands of existing schemes that we've seen over the past few years. So one of these is the Warm Homes Social Housing Fund, which was previously known as the Social Housing Decarbonisation Fund. So just a slight rename, but it basically has the same principles as the previous programme. This is primarily to improve the energy efficiency of social housing for properties with the EPC, as I mentioned at the start, around EPCC. So those that fall under EPCC are eligible for this programme. Mm-hmm. There's a kind of a really wide range of measures that can be installed within this, but one of the key ones obviously is heating controls, and we've seen that through the previous iterations of the Social Housing Decarbonisation Fund, and we should see this kind of currently coming through the new installation of the programme as well. The second one is the Warm Homes Local Grant, which was previously known as, there was the Home Upgrade Grant and Local Authority Delivery, which were slightly different in terms of they were applicable for homes on and off the gas grid. So it's now combined just into one grant. So this is for local authorities looking to improve their local building stock. Again, they've got that EPCC target. So for properties under there, they're eligible for this programme. And they also need to be low income as well. So trying to also help achieve some of the government's fuel poverty targets as well. So trying to bring more people out of fuel poverty by helping to improve the energy efficiency of their homes. Similarly to the Social Housing Fund, there's a really wide range of measures that can be installed through this programme. So kind of really great to include a mix of different technologies within that, and obviously including heating controls within that as well. I think that's everything on those 2 programmes.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, and I've seen heating controls proving much more cost effective than
indeed
than other large retrofits at the moment. So very important, yeah, but not just well-being concerns, but environmental as well. So very key areas. Let's talk about the PCDB.
Indeed. So it's basically split into 2 areas. One is for refurbishment and the one's for new builds. So if we concentrate on the refurbishment, there was a change done to the PCDB database in around about October last year, where previously our Wiser product had been listed as TTZC in compensating boilers. And somewhat unbeknown to the industry, they were moved to a new category called smart thermostats, which did affect some of the Eco4 aspects of finding the products in the PCDB database. What I can do is I can share you just the website of the PCDB. It's probably a little bit easier for people to see. So I'll just share that if I may. So if you see this here, these are all the Drayton products listed here. And as you can see, we have the Drayton Wiser listed there as a smart thermostat. Okay, and that's a Class 8 product. Below that, you can see the Drayton RF901 and the 2290M, which is our Digistat range, which are listed as boiler compensators, which is Class 5. And at the bottom, you'll see Wiser is back again as TTZC and boiler compensator. So what we've done is we've additionally listed Wiser to what people thought it was previously. So we're actually dual listed for Wiser. So it's both Class 7 and Class 8 as TTZC and boiler compensator and smart thermostat. So that's where we've got everything totally covered now. So if there was any confusion before, hopefully we've put that to bed.
That's brilliant. Thank you. That'll help clarify things a lot, won't it? It's such a complex area.
It is really complex. Yes.
Great.
Really
Thank
is.
you for showing us.
There's kind of so many iterations of SAP and RD SAP, and we're going to see something called the home energy model come in soon, which will replace SAP. So kind of where things are listed, how they become eligible for funding programs, it's quite complex, but that gives a lot of clarity as to kind of show where WISE is eligible for the different programs.
And just to add to that is that there's going to be a transition period before we get into HEM. So on the new build, the current SAP 10 and 10.2 will remain in force while HEM comes on stream as well. So we were juggling two of those together. And there's going to be an RD HEM at some point, we understand from DESNES, which will mean the RD SAP 2012 and the RD HEM will coexist as well. But we haven't got enough information on that as yet. So just it's for the short term, it's going to become more complicated if it can become more complicated, and hopefully then it'll actually be much, much easier to understand.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's really helpful. So when we're speaking more to installers, talked a lot about why it's important for authorities, house builders, in getting us installers more on board with this as part of that network. Why should installers look to include heating controls within the obligation for this scheme? Just opening that question up for everyone here.
I think it's a really simple and effective means of improving one's home. I think it's very low cost. It's very simple to be installed, and I think the benefits are quite large compared with more invasive things, especially if you're a landlord of property and you've got, let's say, quite a big portfolio. It's a lot of money to spend on things where you've got to change the fabric of the building, whereas this is comparatively simple, and it gives both the landlord and the tenant or the homeowner benefits pretty much immediately.
Yeah, exactly. We know of some analysis that Drayton have done on comparing different measures against one another. So it's called a marginal abatement cost curve. So this compares both the cost of the measure. So with wiser other heating controls, they're really quite low cost measures versus things looking up to kind of wall insulation, solid wall insulation particularly, which is around 20k, I think, average to install, versus then the actual carbon savings that you achieve from the individual measures. So Drayton's products are not only low cost, but they're also high in terms of the carbon savings, which are due to bill reduction. So you're then getting those cost savings as well. So it's kind of a triple whammy in that sense of having those three things embedded together.
Yes. I think it's also worth bearing in mind that the solutions that we provide at Drayton are, I believe, well thought through in terms of what they do. So when we say something is TTZC, we mean it. So it's time, temperature, and zone control. So obviously you've got the time element when you want the heating to go on and off. You've got the temperature, which you want the set point, and the zoning is do you want one room hotter than the other? Do you want that other room off, etc.? These are some things that we've spent a lot of time and energy developing over the years. So I would just recommend to people just to look at what products are out there and to make sure that they are genuinely TTZC.
Yeah, I think it's great that as well that it's so simple to install, to create them zones. So just by adding, the smart radiator thermostats, you can do a full property of, estimated 7 to 8 smart radiator thermostats, probably within an hour and a half, as opposed to trying to change system architecture, which could require, a day, 2 days worth of work. So again, you're offsetting the price of the product against the labour rates. And yeah, it's a very simple install.
And you've also got the benefits of being able to control your system from outside the house, which is very important, I think. But if you're away, or you want to check on things, you can through your phone. So it's a very intuitive system.
Yeah, fantastic. And it's that time temperature zone control that makes it eligible for these schemes, isn't it?
Exactly.
Really key.
Yes.
That comes with a host of other benefits as well, not just the eligibility element. But yeah, enabling that smart control, that multi-room control, and all the energy savings that opens up.
Yeah, plus it's available across all heating devices as well. So, gas, oil, electric. It's fully compatible with all systems.
And also for heat pumps as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we'll just move on, talk a little bit further about the PCDB and SAP, which stands for Standard Assessment Procedure. Again, another complex area, we know. But what is the current Standard Assessment Procedure as we know it?
Happy to touch on that a little bit. So, Standard Assessment Procedure, or as many will know it as SAP, is it's the modelling that sits behind individual measures that sit within homes. So it's used a lot within government funding programmes, so the ones that we've discussed today, so the warm home programmes, eco, there's also one like the boiler upgrade scheme. All of the measures that go into these programmes will have to have a SAP score. So it's an assessment of how energy efficient products are. This is what they're really looking at to then give a score that will feed into the different funding programs. It also adapts the EPC of a property as well. So our energy performance certificates are based on a SAP score. So it's kind of bringing in all those different technologies we've got in the home and then how they fit together to assess the energy efficiency of homes as well. Merlin touched on RD SAP, so this is reduced data SAP. It's kind of in the name, there's less data within it. So SAP itself, kind of the core engine, is for new build properties, which need that full reach of all the data that's provided within SAP, whereas reduced data SAP is then for the retrofit market. So kind of not needing as much information, but still to give you an indication of how much energy you might be saving by installing a certain measure.
Yeah, brilliant. So, number of databases for a number of different needs.
Yeah, exactly. And that feeds into then what we were talking about before, the PCDB, the product characteristic database. So that holds all of that information within one place. So anyone can go see it, manufacturers, SAP assessors, house builders who are looking for this information on technology, so they can see how different products differ in their scoring and help decide which one they want to install.
Great, yeah, and anyone who needs that information can access that really easily.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
And also to talk to our sales team as well, who are very well versed in it, who can help advise and pick the correct products for the application.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I think we've covered such a lot there. I think that's going to provide claimants with a lot of extra background in these areas.
I think maybe one other thing to add from my part would be, there's been a lot of emphasis on getting people's heat sources up to the most efficient within them properties. But if it's not controlled correctly, you may as well not have the most efficient boiler. You may as well have the most efficient boiler with the most efficient controls, with the best control to get the best out of your system. And I think that's where the focus needs to go on now, is on the control of that system to make it work for the end user. Because fitting the most efficient boiler isn't going to save you maximum amount of money on your fuel bill if it's not controlled correctly.
Absolutely, it's not just where the energy is coming from; it's how it's managed. Fantastic. Because these topics can sort of spur a lot of other ideas and perspectives. Would anyone like to add anything to what we've discussed? No, fantastic.
Just as maybe a final wrap-up point on kind of the importance of these policies, kind of not only about decarbonisation. I think that's one element of it, right? But also the benefit of installing measures like heating controls to really help people, individual households, so those in fuel poverty, those that are really struggling to pay their energy bills. If you're able to make really, really easy, cheap fixes to help bring those bills down, it makes a massive difference in kind of the whole landscape and helping the whole nation really to achieve those goals. So yeah, they're really, really important measures and kind of the whole range of different things that are out there.
Exactly,
Absolutely.
spot on there. And I think that also just to bear in mind that, you know, with the controls, you can have both comfort and you can have the savings. I think you can have those two things, which is rare, to be able to do those sort of things. And I think with these controls, you're able to do that.
I think for some other measures, it can be hard for it can be hard to have multiple simultaneous benefits like that.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So many applications. I think it just proves that the more cost effective the measure, the more impact it can have across all sorts of demographics.
Yes.
Sorry, I know, Megan, you were trying to update the curve of potential savings with controls. Is it worth sharing that, or is that not up to date now? I'm just trying to think, you know, if we are picking bits from this, it could give us a bit more of an idea of, by fitting correct controls and measures over and above, obviously, your heating system, it's an easy way of making the system more efficient and save money at the end.
No, that was a great point, Andy. So yeah, I touched on it before. It's called a marginal abatement cost curve, or MAC for short. I'll just bring this up now. It's a really interesting graphic to see how heating controls compare against other measures that we've looked at. Particularly in this case, it's just fabric measures, but I know Drayton are looking to expand this further to look at their full range of heating controls, but then also how they compare against heating systems. So if you're installing a heat pump, how much money, how much carbon can you save by installing those measures as well? But it also takes into account the cost of the measure. That's why the Drayton's products, particularly the Wiser products shown on the bottom left of the screen, are really, really cost effective. They're a lot cheaper to install than measures such as loft and cavity insulation, solid wall insulation, wider fabric measures. But you're also seeing those really great carbon savings and money saved by installing these measures. You'll still see this with the other measures, but because the costs of them are so great compared to how much money you might be saving off the back of them, you don't see as much of a benefit versus those lower cost measures like heating controls. So that shows a more full, smart, zoned heating control system, which you get from Wiser products, but you'll see kind of quite similar benefits from other heating controls as well. So keep your eyes peeled for when there's an updated version coming out on that.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you. Yeah, the data is clear, isn't it? It's fantastic. Yeah, we'll absolutely be sharing that. Make sure that's out there and available for people. Brilliant. Okay. I think they've covered a lot there. And yeah, as Merlin's mentioned, our sales and spec team, very, very experienced and knowledgeable on all the legislation and the funding schemes available. So available to contact at any point with projects and exactly what falls into what's eligible for what. So I think that's going to be very helpful for people speccing up the jobs. And I'd like to thank you all very, very much for joining us
Thank
today.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll be back hopefully for another session very soon. All right, thank
Thanks
you to
very
Megan
much.
and Merlin and Andrew. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.